In 2004, Mark Zuckerberg had $19,000 in his bank account, no revenue, no business model, and a website that kept crashing because he couldn't afford better servers. He was 19. His company had $0 in profit, and within 8 years, he would ring the opening bell on the largest tech IPO in history, worth $104 billion. But here's what nobody tells you about that story. The money wasn't the interesting part. The structure was. Because Zuckerberg didn't just build a product. He built a machine that made money while he slept, scaled without hiring proportionally, and turned every user into an asset. That's the blueprint. And it's the same blueprint sitting in front of you right now. I break down how the wealthiest people in America actually built their money. Hit subscribe and drop a comment. I want to know where you're starting from. Here's the landscape in April 2026. According to Forbes' real-time billionaire tracker, Mark Zuckerberg's net worth sits at approximately $205 billion, making him the third richest person on the planet. Meta, the company he built, has a market cap above $1.3 trillion. But here's the number that should stop you cold. Zuckerberg went from a $19,000 bank balance in 2004 to his first billion in 2008. That's 4 years. And he was 23. Now, according to a 2024 Federal Reserve report, the median American household has a net worth of $192,700. That means the average American family would need to multiply their entire net worth by over 1 million times to reach where Zuckerberg is today. That sounds discouraging. It isn't, because when you study how he actually got there, the early moves are shockingly repeatable. Not the scale, the logic. Most people look at billionaire stories and think, right place, right time, Harvard connections. But the Federal Reserve's survey of consumer finances also shows that the top 1% of American wealth holders share 3 structural behaviors. They build assets rather than income streams. They leverage other people's time and capital, and they delay liquidity. Zuckerberg did all 3 before he turned 25. In 2003, Zuckerberg built a website called FaceMash that let Harvard students rate each other's photos. It crashed Harvard's servers in 2 hours. The administration threatened to expel him, and his reaction was to take notes on what went wrong technically, fix it, and start over. That's the first pattern interrupt in this story. The people who build billion-dollar companies aren't the ones who avoid failure. They're the ones who treat failure as a feedback loop. When Facebook launched in February 2004, Zuckerberg had one competitive advantage that had nothing to do with code. He understood network effects before most people had a name for it. Here's the thing, a phone is useless if you're the only one with a phone. But every new person who gets a phone makes yours more valuable. Facebook was the same. Every new user made the platform more valuable for every existing user. This is called a network effect moat. And it's why Facebook could grow without spending $1 on traditional advertising in its first 2 years. By December 2004, Facebook had 1 million users. No revenue. But Zuckerberg turned down a $10 million acquisition offer from a company called Friendster. Everyone around him thought he was insane. He knew something they didn't. The asset wasn't the website. The asset was the users. And the users were still multiplying. Here's what most people don't realize. Zuckerberg never actually built a social network. He built an attention warehouse. Advertisers don't pay for platforms. They pay for eyeballs. The more time users spent on Facebook, the more valuable every second of that time became to a corporation trying to sell them something. In June 2004, Peter Thiel wrote Zuckerberg a check for $500,000 in exchange for 10.2% of Facebook. On the surface, that looks like a great deal for a broke 19-year-old. When Facebook IPO'd in May 2012, Thiel's stake, which he had grown and partially sold over the years, netted him over $1 billion. That $500,000 returned 2,000 times. Meanwhile, Zuckerberg retained approximately 28% of the company at IPO, worth roughly $19 billion at the opening price of $38 per share. So here's the lesson. Giving away equity early is expensive, but not giving away equity can kill a company that needs capital to survive. Zuckerberg threaded this needle carefully. He took Thiel's money, used it to hire engineers and move the team to Palo Alto, but structured the deal so he kept voting control. This is a critical detail most people miss. Facebook had a dual-class share structure, meaning Zuckerberg's Class B shares carried 10 votes per share versus 1 vote for regular shares. By the time Facebook went public, Zuckerberg controlled about 57% of the voting power, even while owning a minority of the total shares. Now, you might be thinking, this is billionaire stuff. It has nothing to do with me. But the principle applies at every scale. The moment you build something with equity, you have something worth protecting. Whether it's 28% of a trillion-dollar company or 100% of a freelance business that earns $60,000 a year, the structure you put around your ownership determines what you actually keep. Here's an uncomfortable truth about Facebook's early years. From 2004 to 2006, the company had almost no revenue model. Zuckerberg resisted advertising. He thought it would compromise the user experience. His COO, Sheryl Sandberg, who joined in 2008, is the person who actually turned Facebook into a money machine. By 2009, Facebook turned its first profit, $200 million. By 2010, revenue hit $2 billion. By 2012, the year of the IPO, revenue was $5.1 billion. Facebook's business model is what economists call a zero marginal cost model. Serving 1 million users costs almost the same as serving 1 billion because the product is digital. According to Meta's 2023 annual report, the company generated $134.9 billion in revenue with approximately 67,000 employees. Compare that to General Motors, which generated $185 billion in revenue with 163,000 employees. Meta made nearly as much money with 60% fewer people. And that's what leverage looks like at scale. Zuckerberg didn't get rich by working harder than everyone else. He got rich by building something where the work of adding value was done primarily by users and advertisers, not by him or his employees. That's not luck. That's architecture. In 2012, Zuckerberg spent $1 billion to buy Instagram. At the time, Instagram had 13 employees and 0 revenue. Wall Street thought he had lost his mind. In 2014, he spent $19 billion to buy WhatsApp, a messaging app with 55 employees. Again, 0 revenue at acquisition. Instagram, according to Bloomberg Intelligence, generated an estimated $32 billion in revenue for Meta. Now, Zuckerberg didn't just buy companies, he bought behavior. According to a 2024 Pew Research Center report, 69% of American adults use Facebook, 47% use Instagram, and 23% use WhatsApp. Meta reaches 85% of U.S. internet users across its platforms combined. Advertisers have no real alternative at that scale. The acquisitions weren't about the companies. They were about eliminating future competition. Every dollar spent buying Instagram in 2012 saved Meta from spending $10 defending its market in 2022. That's not spending. That's investing with asymmetric upside. Now, you might be thinking, I can't buy Instagram. True. But the principle applies to how you allocate your own capital. Every dollar you spend on a depreciating asset is a dollar that can't buy you an appreciating one. Zuckerberg's discipline in deploying capital efficiently is the same discipline that separates the people building wealth from the people spinning their wheels. As of April 2026, Zuckerberg's $205 billion net worth is not sitting in a bank account. Roughly 97% of it is in meta stock and investment vehicles managed through his family office, the Chan Zuckerberg Initiative, which is structured as an LLC, not a traditional charity. That distinction matters legally and financially. According to a 2024 ProPublica analysis, Zuckerberg pays a dramatically lower effective tax rate than most American wage earners, because most of his wealth is unrealized capital gains, which are not taxed until the stock is sold. He also takes a $1 annual salary from Meta, which means his ordinary income tax is essentially zero. The money he actually spends comes from loans secured against his stock, which are also not taxable events. This is the same strategy used by Jeff Bezos, Elon Musk, and Larry Ellison. It's called buy, borrow, die. You build an asset, you borrow against it tax-free, and when you die, your heirs inherit it at a stepped-up cost basis, which eliminates the capital gains tax entirely. Drop a comment and tell me what's the one asset you wish you had started building years ago. I read every single one. Watch next video to know how Mr. Beast Empire reached $1 billion.